There's a moment most people recognize, even if they've never talked about it out loud. It's late at night, the house is quiet, the phone is face down, and suddenly the noise inside your head gets louder than anything around you. Thoughts that stayed polite all day start pushing forward. Worries you thought were handled come back with sharper edges. You replay conversations, you second-guess choices. You wonder why rest feels so hard to reach even when you're exhausted. For many people, this doesn't feel dramatic. It feels ordinary. That's part of what makes it easy to ignore. You tell yourself everyone feels this way sometimes. You tell yourself tomorrow will be different. And maybe it is, until it isn't. Mental health rarely announces itself with a single clear moment. It usually arrives quietly. It shows up in how heavy mornings feel, in how short your patience becomes, in how joy feels muted, like it's happening behind glass. It lives in the background of daily life, shaping decisions, reactions, and relationships, often without being named. For years, trusted medical research has pointed to the same pattern. Mental health isn't separate from everyday life, it's woven into it. It affects how people sleep, how they connect, how they handle stress, and how they see themselves when no one else is watching. Many adults move through life functioning well on the outside while carrying an invisible weight on the inside. They show up to work, they keep commitments, they answer messages, but beneath that surface, something feels off. Not broken, just strained, like a muscle that's been held tight for too long. Stress is one of the most common entry points. It doesn't always feel like panic. Often it feels like constant alertness, like your body never quite powers down. Your jaw stays tight, your shoulders sit higher than they should, your mind jumps ahead to problems that haven't happened yet. Long-term medical findings suggest that when this state becomes normal, it quietly drains emotional resilience over time. Anxiety can slip into this space almost unnoticed. It's not always racing thoughts or visible fear. Sometimes it's hesitation, avoidance, a subtle urge to cancel plans you once enjoyed, a sense that everything takes more effort than it used to. Many people describe it as feeling permanently on edge, even during calm moments. Depression, too, is often misunderstood. It's not always sadness. For many, it feels like numbness, like the emotional volume has been turned down. Things that once mattered feel distant, motivation fades, simple tasks feel strangely heavy. Years of findings from major health journals suggest that this emotional flattening can be just as impactful as intense sadness, yet far less likely to be recognized. What makes mental health especially complex is how personal it feels. Two people can experience similar symptoms and interpret them completely differently. One might call it burnout, another might call it weakness, another might not call it anything at all. Cultural expectations, family dynamics, and personal history all shape how people understand what's happening inside them. In many American households, emotional strength has long been associated with pushing through, with staying busy, with not slowing down long enough to feel uncomfortable emotions. This mindset can be useful in short bursts, but over time, it can quietly teach people to ignore important internal signals. Long-term research has found that emotional suppression doesn't make feelings disappear, it simply delays them. Unacknowledged stress and unresolved emotional strain tend to resurface later, often in unexpected ways. Irritability, fatigue, difficulty concentrating, a sense of disconnection from others. Sleep is often one of the first places mental strain becomes visible. Difficulty falling asleep, waking up too early, feeling unrested no matter how long you've been in bed. Trusted medical findings suggest that disrupted sleep and mental health challenges reinforce each other, creating a cycle that can be hard to break without awareness. Relationships also feel the impact. When emotional bandwidth is low, small disagreements feel bigger. Patience runs thin. People may withdraw, not because they don't care, but because connection suddenly feels overwhelming.
Many report feeling lonely even while surrounded by others, unsure how to explain what's wrong without sounding dramatic or burdensome. Work environments add another layer. Deadlines, expectations, and constant digital connection can blur the line between effort and exhaustion. A growing body of research shows that chronic workplace stress is closely tied to anxiety and depressive symptoms, especially when rest feels unearned or guilt-ridden. Social media complicates this further. Even when used casually, it can create quiet comparison. You see curated moments of success, happiness, and productivity, while your own internal struggles remain unseen. Over time, this contrast can subtly shape self-perception, making normal emotional difficulty feel like personal failure. One of the most challenging aspects of mental health is how largely invisible it is. There's no cast, no obvious injury. People often look fine, even when they're not. This invisibility can lead to self-doubt. You wonder if your experience is valid. You question whether you're overreacting. You minimize your own pain because you believe others have it worse. Yet long-standing medical research consistently suggests that emotional distress doesn't need to reach a crisis point to matter. Mental health exists on a spectrum. Support and attention are not reserved for only moments of collapse. They're most effective when strain is recognized early, while people are still functioning, still connected, still able to reflect. There's also a quiet grief that accompanies mental health struggles. Grief for the version of yourself that felt lighter, more spontaneous, more at ease. People often miss who they used to be without realizing they're mourning that loss. This grief can exist alongside gratitude, making it harder to name. Over time, many learn to adapt. They develop coping habits, some healthy, some less so. Distraction becomes a tool. Overworking becomes a shield. Staying constantly busy becomes a way to avoid stillness where thoughts might surface. While these strategies can help in the short term, research suggests they rarely address the underlying emotional load. Physical symptoms often emerge when emotional strain goes unaddressed. Headaches, digestive discomfort, persistent tension, a sense of heaviness in the body. The mind and body are deeply connected, and years of medical observation have shown that emotional stress frequently expresses itself physically. Despite growing awareness, stigma still lingers. Many adults worry about being seen as weak, unstable, or incapable if they acknowledge mental health challenges. This fear can be especially strong for those who have built identities around reliability and competence. Admitting struggle can feel like risking everything. Yet something has slowly been shifting. Conversations that once felt taboo are becoming more common. People are beginning to recognize that mental health isn't about fragility. It's about being human in a complex, demanding world. It's about responding to pressure, loss, uncertainty, and change. For some, awareness begins with a small realization, a moment of honesty. You notice that you're not okay, even if you can't fully explain why. That realization doesn't solve anything instantly, but it creates space. Space to pause, space to listen inward, space to consider that your experience deserves attention. Mental health care doesn't look the same for everyone. For some, it involves professional support. For others, it starts with changes in routine, boundaries, or self-talk. What long-term research emphasizes is not a single solution, but the importance of acknowledgement. Naming emotional strain reduces its power to remain hidden. There's also value in understanding that improvement is rarely linear. Good days and hard days often exist side by side. Progress can feel subtle. Sometimes it looks like reacting with slightly more patience, sleeping a little better, feeling moments of calm return, even briefly. Compassion plays a critical role here, not just toward others, but toward yourself. Many people hold themselves to standards they would never apply to someone they care about. They expect constant strength, constant productivity, constant emotional control. Over time, this internal pressure becomes another source of distress. Trusted medical research increasingly points to self-compassion as a protective factor for mental well-being. Treating internal experiences with curiosity rather than judgment helps reduce emotional strain. It allows feelings to move through rather than get stuck. Connection matters deeply. Feeling seen, heard, and understood, even in small ways, has a measurable impact on emotional health. This doesn't require dramatic disclosures. Sometimes it's simply being able to exist honestly with someone else without pretending everything is fine. Nature, movement, rest, and routine all play supporting roles, not as cures but as stabilizers. They provide grounding when thoughts feel scattered. They remind the nervous system that safety and calm are possible states.